In December, I'll be back next month with your reading as well. First of all, when I was shuffling for you guys, there is an image that came out very prominently, and it's kind of like a fire extinguisher inside the case, and it says, in case of emergency, break open. And I feel like this is playing out as an analogy for the way that you've been conducting yourself and the way that you live your life. And what I mean by that is, you are ruling you're the ruler for the ninth house, which deals with philosophy, travel, expansion, and you're a very happy-go-lucky type of a sign. You love adventure, you love to explore, you love to roam, you love your independence and your freedom. And whenever there's a new opportunity, you're always going to grab new opportunities. Okay, so that's like the ideal archetype of a Sagittarius. However, like with all other people and like with all the other signs, whenever you start to accumulate stuff, wealth, material wealth, physical things, whenever you feel like you have created a sense of roots, or even a sense of, a foundation for yourself, such as family, children, it scares you to take on new adventures. It scares you to kind of like break away from the status quo and do something else, because you have a lot of fears of the unknown. And once, and I mentioned before, it's so important for all of us to travel light. Every once in a while, every few months, take stock of what we have, what we don't need, and try to get rid of things, because I feel like many of you are in an environment where you're accumulating more stuff, you're accumulating more responsibilities, you're accumulating just things that you don't need, and all of these things you imbue them with the quality of, they're important in my life, they mean something to me, but they don't, in fact they don't. So the fears and those qualities that you ascribe to these things in your life, they're not real. And because of that, you make decisions that allow you to retain these things rather than decisions that allow you to kind of roam, to kind of expand, to kind of, allow new opportunities to come in. I'm feeling like you're looking at a situation where the work itself, there's like, I'm sensing a lot of disputes, or a lot of just communication breakdown at work, or even lack of work that you're dealing with right now. And it's very frustrating. And I'm also sensing that for some of you, you're staying in a job that's not really serving its purpose in your life. You want more out of life, but you're staying at this job for that sense of security, because, we fear the unknown, right? And you've never feared the unknown in the past, but I feel like at this stage in your life, you might be a little bit older, and you're just fearing like, oh, if I leave, I have to start at the bottom of the totem pole, and I have so much experience, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to put up with that. And I also feel a big part of it is also your pride. You don't want to have to start over. You don't want to have to start from the bottom, entry level, and with love and relationships too. You're comparing yourself to, your peers, the people in your same age group. And you're just like, look at where they are. And if I were to leave, I'm going to have to start from the bottom. I'm going to be behind the rest of the herd. And that's not like you. You normally don't think like this. But, this month is coming in, and usually around birthday time, things will trigger us to really stop and look at our life. Are we content? Are we really happy? Is this the best optimal outcome that you've envisioned for yourself at this age? And I feel like many of you are not at that point where you can be, completely happy and satisfied. And so what can we do differently so that we get where we need to be, so that we are proud of our contributions, and that we have more opportunities to get where we want to go? And I'm sensing as well, this fear of the unknown, it's not really going to serve you well if you approach things, new opportunities, as like, oh, it's going to fail. Or if you approach new opportunities as like, oh, that's so difficult, it's so strenuous, it's too hard. Okay, so never shy away from something because you feel like it's not going to succeed. Don't shy away from it. We have intuition that we definitely need to listen to, but at the same time, we also need to be aware that things are divinely guided to come into our lives at this time, especially during your solar return, for a specific reason, because it's something that's good for you. It's something you might have always wanted, and it's something that you're meant to do, and you might have procrastinated on not facing up to that truth for a while now. So going back to the analogy, break open in case of emergency, what exactly does that mean? And when is enough going to be enough? When is that breaking point, that you classify as an emergency? Because a lot of the times while we're in a situation, it can always seem bearable, just like another straw on the camel's back. You've dealt with it for quite some time, and it has always piled on, and you're just like, I'm strong, I can do this. And you keep maintaining that same position. So when is that breaking point? When is that ultimate, threshold? When is that broken? And when is that emergency where you actually break yourself free and you just, move forward, okay? So let me talk about this month's reading. And I feel like some of you really need to make a move, make a change in your work sector. So let me talk about this. This is a card where we are pretty much on top of the world, when it comes to our professional life, okay? Getting a lot of positive recognition, getting a lot of work done, getting a lot of clients, or even being thrust into a position of power. When it shows up in the reverse position, it could feel kind of like the opposite of it, where we have to work under the dictates and the mandates of somebody else, somebody that might be a little bit difficult, somebody that might be a little bit more like, a bottom line type of a person, and that doesn't really care about human interactions, that doesn't really care about the individual needs in a corporation. They're very professional, but they're also can be very stifling or a little bit dogmatic to work under. And as a freedom-loving sign, you might have somebody who's micromanaging you, and you absolutely, you don't care for it. And then I'm also feeling as well, there might be some systemic or some structural barriers to you getting promotions, to you getting, some type of recognition for the work that you're contributing to this company, this organization. And so what I'm feeling here is many of you have been stuck in this work environment, and you're just like, I need to make a change, but for whatever reason, I feel like it could be, just a practical decision that you're making from your end. This job pays well, I'm going to stick in it, or I'm going to stick through. It couldn't get any worse. And then, gradually it does. And so I would really urge you, how many times have you told yourself that I'm going to leave when things get worse, and then things do get worse, and you're just like, I'm going to ride it out for another few weeks or another few months, and then you don't really budge, you don't make a move, okay? I feel that if you've been compromising in this work environment, it's time to make a move, it's time to leave, and it's time to kind of, I want to say, see it for what it is, not what you feel that it could be. Look at it for what it is, for the reality of it, rather than, through your happy-go-lucky lens, where you feel like, I'm going to ride it out for another few weeks, I'm going to ride it out for another few months, maybe it's going to get better. While you're doing that, opportunities are slipping you by, because I feel like you're being urged, you're kind of like being pulled or urged out of this environment, okay? I'm also sensing as well, there's this frustration overall when it comes to work and finding work and maintaining work that you are really proud of. So we have here the Three of Swords, and I feel this energy, usually it comes through in a way where you have a lot of skills, a lot of work experience, and many of you have spent your life jumping around from different positions. So you might be very, very good at sales, And then you jump around, you did office management, and you were also very good at that. And then you jumped around, you did contracts. So you had like a myriad of skills and expertise under your belt. And so because you're jumping around, while your peers, while your friends are, stuck in one job, building their resume, building up their skills, and honing down on specific skills, they're able to get ahead because they're kind of locked into a very, I want to say like a linear professional development track. And despite having all of these skills, employers might see you as somebody who's a little bit of a high risk candidate. They see you as someone who's very dynamic, but they might not hire you because they're just like, well, this candidate, they have so many things under their belt. They've jumped around from job to job. I don't know if I can trust that they're going to stick around with our company. So I feel like that might be one of the obstacles, one of the barriers that you have to somehow overcome when you're looking for work. So if you're ever invited on an interview and then at the end they tell you, is there anything else that you want to ask or anything else that you want to let us know? This is the time to speak up. This is the time to say, I know that based on my resume, I'm not a traditional candidate, but I have all of the wisdom and all of the skills and all the leadership qualities and things like that you definitely should consider. So that's the time where you throw that in, where you kind of explain yourself, where you make yourself a lot more relatable, where you tie in all the disparate job, experiences that you have and how that contributes to the person that you are, full of wisdom, full of power, and someone who is a lot more flexible. Okay. So I feel a lot of frustration here for people when it comes to finance, when it comes to employment, when it comes to like feeling a little bit frustrated, and I almost want to say like you're beating yourself up because you're comparing yourself to other people who might have graduated from the same school, who might have been in the same profession as you, who might have started, at the same time you started, and you're looking at their life right now and you're just like, why am I not able to climb that ladder? Why am I not able to get ahead? Okay? So that's one area where I feel like you want to create a narrative, create a story for yourself so that you can tell others. And I feel that it's going to create a major breakthrough when it comes to job interviews, when it comes to presenting yourself in a manner where you don't have to be apologetic for all the things that you've done. You just need to own up and stand firm and talk about how those experiences strengthen you as a candidate, or how those experiences have strengthened your ability to resolve conflict, to look at the big picture, and to be very, very firm in your beliefs, or to be very, very firm in your position. Okay, so that's going to go a long way. So exude confidence. Don't be apologetic. Exude confidence when you're trying to get that job interview, when you're trying to present yourself like this. Okay. Let me talk about the relationship sector because that is coming out. Many of you are financially tied up with another person, and I feel it is a relationship partner. The relationship doesn't feel to me to be entirely, I want to say positive and right for you. I mentioned before, you have a partner that is draining your financial resources. Okay? So this is the month where you're getting some ideas, you're getting some hints, and I feel like people around you might be kind of, it's almost like you're hearing things, people are not talking to you directly, but you're singling out conversations or snippets of conversations from other people around you. It's not that you're purposely eavesdropping. These pieces of information are divinely guided to enter so that you can figure out what you need to do. I do feel here some of you are financially dependent on a relationship partner, and you've wanted to dissolve that marriage contract for quite some time. And you're not able to do it because you fear the unknown. You fear, this financial instability. If I leave this relationship, I'm going to be dealing with a lot of financial instability. I'm going to be on my own. I'm going to have to, take care of all of these obligations. How am I going to be able to do it? And then I feel like for others of you who might have broken free from this, broke away from this very toxic relationship, you're trying to find yourself. You're trying to find your footing. You're trying to figure out where you stand. The bills are piling up and you're not really sure what to do. And, you know, reach out to people around you, family members, to weather through a rough time. They're going to be understanding. But either way, I do feel that, you know, the extraction needs to happen. You know, you got to break yourself free in order for you to find your footing, in order for you to stand firm, and in order for you to start to rebuild. I feel like the Scorpios, I just did the reading for Scorpios, and both of these cards fell out for Scorpios. And what that denotes to me was they're breaking free. They're at a point where they have broken free recently. And the rebuilding process for them, you know, it might have lasted like 3 years, the past 3 years. And for you guys, many of you are starting to see this and you are going to break free. And the rebuilding process, it doesn't happen overnight, you know. It doesn't just automatically happen. Things don't drop on our lap. We need to be very firm about where we stand first. We need to be alone to really think about what's my next step. What have I done in the past that didn't work? And where do I need to realign myself? Where do I need to leapfrog to so that I can find something else that works? And I'm also sensing as well, you know, this is also a toxic business relationship partner where one party was completely dependent on the other to kind of keep things afloat, and things are just not working out. And I feel like it's on its way out. It's on its way out, moving into your past, but you need to make some major decisions here about whether or not this is worth it anymore, and are you capable of just doing things on your own, okay? There's a big element here of free will. We don't have a lot of major arcana cards, only 3 of them. But the way that they fall out, it's all about, you know, getting to know yourself with this Hermit card. Knowing about, you know, where you've been, where you need to go, and what you need to do in this moment in time. And it's all about your will, exerting your will into your environment so that you can get what you need, okay? It's not about being pushy, but it's just mainly about taking action and being very decisive about the decisions that you make, and don't waver, don't doubt yourself. And then we also have this as well, breaking free from bondage and allowing yourself to kind of own your life again, re-own your life, or, you know, reinvent your life. And so the other cards scattered throughout deals with a lot of like inner conflict, inner tension. And it also deals with situations where, how did things get like this? How did I allow myself to, you know, ignore things? How could I sweep things under the rug for so long? How did I'm sensing like, you know, let myself go. So this is like not taking care of things when they're due, like not taking care of the practical things in our lives, not taking care of the foundational things in our lives, such as, you know, paying the bills on time, or taking care of like, I'm seeing for many of you, you might have been a little bit grief-stricken the past few years because of, you know, people passing away, deaths in the family, or even estrangement when it comes to you and your children. And then the house might have fallen apart and you never, you know, got things repaired in a timely manner. And now that you're kind of like waking up from this slumber state, you're just like, okay, I need to tackle things head on. Where is the money going to come from? How am I going to be able to balance out that budget? How am I going to be able to manage everything? So Sagittarius, I'm not going to lie, the month feels to me to be a little bit challenging. I definitely feel that you can handle it. There's a lot of Wands energy, which is fire, which basically deals with your drive and your ambition. And I feel like your drive and your ambition, your motivation needs to come back in, and you need to really come face to face with some things that you've been sweeping under the rug, and then you need to make a move, okay? Free will is highly indicated for this spread. So if you channel your free will, if you figure out how can I extract myself, it's going to make all the other steps a lot easier. And then I'm also sensing as well, we have you kind of flirting with the idea of self-employment, creating a home-based business, building something from the ground up, or you have already done this and you're waiting for things to come to fruition. And while it's coming to fruition, rather than, injecting it with positivity and just confidence, I feel like you're doubting yourself. Am I good enough? Am I capable? Am I going to be able to do it? Am I going to get clients? Am I going to be able to thrive? Do I need to hire people to market for me? Can I handle this on my own, or do I need to take on an apprentice? So there's a lot of questions, and I feel like it's stemming from that self-doubt. Am I good enough for it? Am I good enough to be able to see it come to fruition? Am I doing the right things? And so you have a lot of skills, Sagittarius. You have a lot of skills. This is not the month where you can doubt yourself, okay? And I honestly feel that all of these things do come in around the solar return so that we can straighten them out, so that we can have a good birthday time, so that we can reorient ourselves. It's also the end of this year. And for many, many, many signs, this year is very, very fast. It's a number 1 year. So life accelerates and you're kind of catching your breath, trying to keep up with the changes, trying to keep up with the pace of it. And I feel like this is the year that might have caught you kind of like by surprise, because things are moving and happening so fast. And it's like you're still trying to find your bearing, and you're still like, I'm not ready yet. I need another few weeks. I need another few months. And so, life will slip you by while you're napping, while you're dozing off, while you're sweeping things under the rug, while you're dealing with grief too. Unfortunately, it's going to slip by. And so the major theme here is exert that free will. Exert that free will. Try to reorient yourself. Try to get yourself back on track. Okay? There's one last message that is coming here. And let me talk about these two cards. This is a card about disputes. Okay? Dealing with people that refuses to conform to other people's opinions of them. Okay? So this is a very rebellious type of energy. And I do feel that for some of you, if you have children are going to be a handful. They have always been a handful because, by the nature of your parenting style, I feel like it's not like I'm saying this is your fault, but by the nature of your parenting style, you've raised children that are very independent. You value the fact that, you always emphasize that they need to take care of themselves, that they need to think for themselves. And as a result of it, they're very independent. And that's a great thing. That's something you should be proud of. You like that they can take care of themselves. You like that they're successful. You like that they can, make their mark in the world. But when this sense of independence is kind of directed your way, where they don't listen to what you have to say, where they don't feel like where they feel like they're just naturally rebellious against what you have to say, or your intrusion into their lives, it can feel a little bit painful. And so my advice here is we can't control what other people do. We can't control what other people believe. And so pick your battles, okay? If you want to maintain that peace and harmony, maybe both parties need to soften up. Maybe both parties need to stop stepping on each other's toes. And maybe both parties need to, just back off. I'm also seeing this energy playing out in your work environment where you're dealing with rebellious co-workers, where you might have trainees. I'm seeing like, trainees, people that are still in training. And there isn't like a common, I want to say like, there isn't a one procedure to do something. People are going to do things their own way. And so it's really important to kind of ease off and not micromanage, okay? You're not much of a micromanager, so this might be happening to you. But I feel like telling another person, if you feel like you're being micromanaged, if you feel stifled, if you feel like someone is constantly breathing down your neck, you need to tell them, hey, I like it if I can figure things out on my own. That way, I learn it the right way. If you tell them something like that, they're going to ease off you and they're just going to back off, okay? And then with this card, the Nine of Wands, this is continuing to fight in a situation, confronting a situation, getting a break from the conflict, but then having to resume the conflict. And this guy, he's very battle weary. He's hurt. He doesn't want to do it anymore. And there's this sense of him like he's functioning on adrenaline and he's still a little bit scared, okay? When it shows up in the reverse position, it's like, don't beat a dead horse. Whatever's not working, don't do it anymore. Find something else. Remove yourself, extract yourself, and, you know, move on to something more, okay? So I'm going to leave you with that, Sagittarius. I hope that it is helpful for you, for those of you who are dealing with this. And in particular, I do hope that it resonates. And I hope that it actually doesn't resonate with all of you, because this is a very conflict-driven type of a spread, and I don't like to see this. I do see some people dealing with grief, with loss, possibly the passing away of people that they care about. And I'm also seeing as well, if you've had, like, you know, people passing away, there might be disputes and things like that over property, over inheritance, over things that are left behind by the person that passed on. So I hope the reading for next month is going to be a lot more optimistic, okay? But you're strong enough and you can get through this, okay? So take care of yourself, Sagittarius. I'll be back for your love reading.